Good evening to all. I hope you can hear me. Um, Welcoming you all to the question paper discussion session series starting from today, exclusively for NTA NET and CUET PG psychology aspirants. As we know, very important exams are closing, are very coming on. Uh, the dates are very closer. It's time to boost up our preparation. So, as part of that, Krakotis wants everyone to make your preparation more effective and optimum so that you can perform well in the upcoming um, competitive national level competitive exams. So we know that one of the major um determinant of success is doing PYQs, previous year question papers. What is the speciality of doing previous year question papers? It's not just a random method, but it's been a very proven, successful methods in almost all areas. But what Krakotis is actually doing here is a bit different. We actually take question papers. Right now, I'm taking the February net psychology question paper, trying to crack it down, trying to break it cognitively, trying to analyze how questions are coming, um, and by preparing that, I hope that we will get an idea about how to where our learning gaps are actually there and to boost our preparation these days. So it's not a unit wise discussion, it's not a syllabus wise discussion, but it's just taking questions and breaking down and trying to learn from each questions. And we will just limit ourselves from 7 to 8. By 8:85 we'll stop the session. So I want you all to, it's not just a hearing session. I want you all to be active participants of the session. So have a pen and paper in your hand. Take the paper whenever a question is being visible. Uh, Quickly process it. Put your answer in the chat, and we will discuss another options also. So I want you all to be a part of this discussion. It's not just a one-way hearing session, but it's a two-way discussions. You can put your options. Once a question is being posted in the PPT, once you see it, once I have read the question, you can directly come and put the answer and do it as soon as possible. What in order to save time, because we have a very short time in front of us, and within 1 hour we actually want to cover maximum questions. And we have Krakoti students from CUET PG entrance coaching from UGC net NTA net JRF psychology aspirants. There are different groups are out there, I know that. um, but I hope exposing to these questions will actually trigger your learning motivation. So do come from today to Thursday. We'll be regularly doing this every day at this time. If any changes are coming, I will be updating in the group. So you can share this link to your friends, and also because this will be free. This will be also uploaded in the YouTube for further reference. So make use of this session. And before getting further, for those who are the newer ones, myself Daniel, the founder director of Crackwathis, a one-stop solution for um, NTA paper 1, paper 2, psychology PG entrance, set, gate, research aptitude, teaching aptitude examination, research assistance program. So Crackwathis has been um, a learning platform for students right from 2019 onwards in the area of all national level competitive exam in the field of psychology. So welcoming you all to this discussion session. So let's, without losing any time, let's straight go to the questions. There is no background. Take the question, we will break it down. I would request you, as soon as you see the question, please come and put your option in the chat. It's nothing about whether your option is right or wrong. If some other people might have coming with some other options, but it's okay. Whenever you put in another option only, I will also able to tell you why that option is not the correct answer. So I want you all to be involved in this, be very active. Focus yourself into your laptops or your mobile screen. Let's start. Okay, here comes the first question. The term integral yoga is popularized by option 1 Panini, Patanjali, Sri Aurobindo, Ramakrishna Parahamsa. A straight question. See the style of this question. A straight question, just knowing who put forward integral yoga. We know that in all national level exam these days in psychology, questions from Indian philosophy, Indian systems of psychology used to ask a lot. So these questions are very important. The term integral yoga is popularized by, you can just put 1 2 3 or 4, that's all is needed. You don't need to type everything in the chat. You just need to type um, option, whether it's 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. You can just put it. Yeah, and the option is yes. You guys are right. The term integral yoga is popularized by Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo. So, who is Aurobindo? Integral yoga popularized by Aurobindo, an Indian philosopher, a yogi, and a spiritual leader. He developed the concept of integral yoga, which integrates various aspects of yoga, including physical, mental, um, spiritual practices, with the aim of achieving a comprehensive and harmonious transformation of the individual's being. So, Aurobindo emphasizes the synthesis of different parts of yoga, such as Hatha Yoga, Raja Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, into a holistic approach for spiritual evolution. Okay, so he's considered one of the key figures in modern yoga philosophy. So don't forget the name Aurobindo. Next question. Yeah, the questions will be from different areas so that we will be exposed to all the units. Which of the following correlation coefficient represents the variables with the weakest degree of relationship? Reminder, all these questions are in the direct order of NTA Feb Psychology question paper. So actually the question paper is not formally released. We are taking it from the students' response sheet only. So which of the following correlation coefficient represent the variable with the weakest degree of relationship? Minus 0.84, minus 0.56, plus 0.75, plus 0.08. A question that has been widely asked in different psychology exams, asking the strength. Here the question is with weakest degree. Sometimes the same question will be asked with the weakest or strength. So anyway, I hope you know it. Yeah, please put your option in the chat. Even a one student, if they put a one option, it's okay. If you believe that other option, so don't go with the crowd. Whatever you feel, you can put directly into the chat. The question being asked is correlation. We know, yeah, you guys are majority of the people are right. Answer is option 4.08. The question is correlation coefficient. We know that correlation, what do you mean by a correlation? Correlation is a statistical test meant to find out the degree of relationship between two variables like x and y. For example, height and weight. The degree of relationship between height and weight. And the range of correlation coefficient is from -1 to +1. So the strength or the degree, that depends upon the magnitude. See the magnitude, and the magnitude will be more when it is closer to either -1 or +1. So the degree or the magnitude of the, that means the strength of the relationship depends upon whether the score lies closer to -1. So if the same question it was asked like which will be the strongest degree of relationship, what will be the answer? Can somebody put what will be the strongest relationship with in the two variables given? If that was the question, then what will be the answer? Very good. Then that it will be minus 0.84 because it is closer to -1. Here it is not. Here this is also not. Why? Because something that is closer to 0 will be the weakest. Here 0.08 is closer to 0. So the answer is here in this context, as the question being asked is weakest degree, we go with option for 0.08. I hope it's clear for you. The next question. If observers disagree 15 times out of 75, then the inter-rater reliability is option A or 1 50%, option B option 2 80%, 3 20%, 4 60%. This is a question related to inter-rater reliability. If observer disagrees 15 times out of 75, then the inter-rater reliability is a different question, a very interesting question, but if you know the formula you will directly get it. Otherwise, if you're actually facing questions like this in which I would just add you a tip while attempting your upcoming entrance exam. If you're facing a particular question and you're pretty sure that you don't know nothing about that, what is the immediate step? If the exam has a negative marking, if you don't nothing about that question, please don't do anything. For example, in CUET PG, I hope there is negative marking, but in NTA and JRF exam, there is no negative marking. So you can just uh, click on any particular option. Please don't read more and get confused, or don't waste time. If you're pretty sure that you don't know nothing about it, please don't try to okay, let me see 15 minus 75 by 100. Don't create your own formula. Don't try to simply waste time on. If you know something about it, you can spend time. Okay, those who know the answer, please put in the chat. Let me know. Don't worry, this is a practice session. Here you can actually come up with your educated guesses. I used to term it as educated guesses. There is no issue with that, but I was actually mentioning about your real-time exam experience. If you don't know, the actual formula or the actual thing, please immediately get to the next question, because time is very precious. Okay, here we will see how we will work out this question. There is a particular formula for inter-rater reliability. We know that what is actually inter-rater reliability. Two raters are actually there, researcher A and researcher B, both independently observing something or coding something, and we will see how many agreements and disagreements are there. And inter-rater reliability is the percentage of agreement between the observers. So here we can see, according to the question, the observer disagree 15 times out of 75. In order to calculate inter-rater reliability, we need the proportion of agreement. Proportion of agreement means what? How much time the both agreed. That we know the total observation were 75. Disagreement were 15 times. That means 75 minus 15. So in 60 observations, they were agreeing with each other. Both the researcher A and B were agreeing with each other. So in order to find the percentage of agreement, that is the inter-rater reliability, we find just the number of the percentage of the number of agreements divided by the total number of observation. Here in this case it is 60 by 75, and the percentage it is given into 100, which will give you 80%. Therefore option 2, 80% is the correct answer. Once again I will repeat, inter-rater reliability based on observers agreement and disagreement. Inter-rater reliability will depend upon on how much percentage there is agreement. That is actually indicator of the inter-rater reliability. Agreement, it is out of 75, 15. Disagreement is also already given. That means 60 agreements are there. 60 by 75 into 100 will give you the percentage. Okay, so don't forget this formula. What do you mean by interrelated reliability? We used to do in many areas, in coding, in qualitative, in observation research. There will be two coders, there will be two researchers. They will independently code and they will see to what extent we both agreed with each other. If you are agreeing with this much, here in this case it is 80% agreement, then it's actually nice. That means both the researcher, there is no subjective bias, there is no subjective deviances. Both the researchers, when they coded it not together but independently, there is 80% agreement. That means there is a good interrelated reliability. I hope you got the answer. Okay, so now let's move into the next question. Another question from the area of, so this is a question from the area of psychological testing. Okay, so next question from psychological statistics. If a student scored 12 on a test of which the mean is 16 and the standard deviation is 4, what is his set score? Just apply the set score formula, you will get the answer. Please put your option. The option A -1, option 2 +1, option 3 +3, option 4 0. So if a student scored 12 on a test, that means, yeah. So due to that, that's why as we need to cover maximum question within the time, that's why I'm speeding my presentation. Yeah, you all are right. How to calculate the set score? What is the set score formula? Set is equal to x minus mu by sigma, or sorry, by standard deviation. So mu is the mean, x is the particular score here. So here the score is 12. Z is equal to x minus x bar, we can say, or mean, by standard deviation. So here x is what? If a student scored 12 on a test, that means his or her individual score is 12. So 12 minus mean, what is the mean? X bar 16. So 12 minus 16 by, what is the standard deviation? 4. So 12 minus 16 by 4 is equal to minus 4 by 4. It is equal to -1. -1. And the question is, what is actually standard? I hope you know about what is a set score. It's a standardized score which we use to denote in a normal distribution curve. We have standard, set score, t score, percentile score, mean, median, mode, everything. I have, if you need clarity on these areas, please refer to our videos we have done in psychological testing. I have detailed it on what you mean by the standard scores. So don't forget the formula set score. X minus x bar by standard deviation by mu. Yeah. Next, moves to the next question. Which one is the correct formula for variance? Variance. Can somebody put? Just a direct question. Which one is the correct formula for variance? Sigma x minus sigma x bar whole square by n, or sigma x by minus x bar the whole square by n. Sigma x minus x bar total. See the bracket and all. Please look carefully. Yeah, very good. Almost majority of the participants made it right. Option 2, x minus x bar, the sigma of x minus x bar the whole square by n. So we know that, basically we know that variance is the average of the squared differences between each score and the mean. So the variance formula is the summation of x minus x bar or mu, means the mean. The summation of x minus x bar whole square whole divided by n. N means the number of scores. So that is the formula for variance. And variance is again another variance, standard deviation, range, everything comes under descriptive statistics, measures of variation. How each score is deviated from the distribution. That is the measures of distribution. And variance is one among that. The square root of variance is actually the standard deviation. Just putting a square root will give you SD or sigma, standard deviation. Or variance can be called the square of, that means the standard squared differences. That is the variance. And the standard deviation, which we most dominantly used in psychological research, especially, is SD, standard deviation. It's more a standard score rather than variance. But the formula for variance, you don't have to, please don't forget. Yeah. Next question, again from the area of research. As I told, these questions are not made by me. This is directly from the NTA 1 year, this February psychology question paper only. So the question goes like this: a researcher is interested in testing the effectiveness of pre-post intervention on a single group. The statistical test that could be used is direct question, direct application question. A researcher is interested in testing the effectiveness of pre-post intervention on a single group. There is a group, for example, you are a group. I'm giving you, there will be a pre-test. After that, I will give you an intervention. After the intervention, there will be a post-test. Pre-post. So, in order to identify whether there is effectiveness of pre-post intervention, which of the following statistical test could be used? This is an intervention. While those who are planning for intervention research and all should know this answer. Two groups, one group, there is a pre and there is a post. And we need to know whether pre and post there is a significant yeah. Yes, you guys are right. It is t-test. No need to. I would say all the statistical test, please be well versed with. Even in the midnight, if you have been called and asked this question, you should directly tell it. Because all the statistical test and its application, can somebody also put what specifically t-test we are using here? Because it is only a one group and we are only doing a pre and a post. A pre and a post. So can you specifically tell me what type of t-test will be used? I will explain how this comes. Okay, those who know. Okay, let's see the answer. The statistical test that could be used to test the effectiveness of a pre-post intervention on a single group is t-test. And specifically what? Paired sample t-test or dependent sample t-test. Why? There is only one group. There is only one group, and this one group's one mean, that is the pre-test mean, is used, and the same group after the intervention, their mean also x bar is. So the comparison between these two, in which the same sample, there is only one sample, that's why it is called, it is a paired sample t-test, or the other name is dependent sample t-test. If it was two different groups and we need to compare whether the effectiveness of two different, for example, like in an experiment, we use experimental group and control group, EG and CG. If that is the case, if there are two groups, then what will be the t-test we'll be using? Can somebody put in the chat? If there are two groups and we need to compare in which group our intervention was effective, then which will be the statistical? Yeah, very good. Independent sample t-test. Independent sample t-test. So you have to be very thorough with this. Paired sample, when there is only one group and we have two value, two mean scores, actually two mean scores. Then you will be wondering what are the other statistical tests can be used for. We will just quickly look into that. What is correlation? Please don't get confused with the correlation and t-test. In correlation, we are only looking about the direction and the strength of relationship between variables per se, like academic achievement and locus of control. These are two variables. We are just looking onto the variable and their value, and we'll checking how these variables are closely related. It's a degree of relationship between two variables, actually two continuous variables. So that is correlation. Coming to chi-square, what is actually chi-square? In order to analyze categorical data, that means frequency data, it is not continuous variable. What do you mean by it is not continuous variable? It is a discrete or a categorical variable. So in order to find if it is a categorical variable only, then we will use chi-square. And basically chi-square we know it is a non-parametric, because the distribution will not be continuous. There is no continuous variables. So chi-square is a non-parametric, correlation is a parametric. ANOVA, coming to ANOVA, ANOVA means here the mean values are being tested. And what is the difference between ANOVA and t-test? In t-test, we look for only two groups. If there is more than two, we will go for ANOVA, analysis of variance, put forward by R.A. Fisher. R.A. Fisher put forward the ANOVA. It is a statistical test used to compare mean across different multiple groups. It assesses whether there is significant difference between the means of two or more groups. Okay, so I hope it's thorough for you. Next question. Again, a question from the research itself. Which of the following statements are correct? 1, 2, 3, or 4. As we don't have any group options or codes, that means we have to be very sure that only one among these four options will be right. Although the question is like which of the following is correct, there is only one to either one of the four only is correct. So please read each statement carefully and tell me which of the following will be correct. First statement, test retest reliability is determined by assessing the degree of relationship between scores on one half of a test with scores on the other half of a test. Alternate form reliability is determined by assessing the degree of relationship between scores on two different equivalent tests. Split half reliability is determined by assessing the degree of relationship between scores on the same test administered on two different occasions. Internal reliability is the extent to which the effect of dependent variable is a result of the independent variable and not some other aspect of the study. There are four statements. You have to tell me which is correct. So it's actually testing. It's a different reliability measures. Test or retest is been asked. Alternate form reliability is asked. Split half internal reliability. What will be the answer? So one thing you can be very sure of, only one of the four is only correct. That it actually will help you to save time. If it was a chord question like giving four statement and the options like option A both 1 and 2, option B 1, 2 and 3, option 3 only 3, option 4 only 4, like that we used to see this type of question in NTA exams. So if it was like that of a question, then we have to very critically go to each one of them. Here in this case, we are pretty sure that as we have only one option to click. As we know, it's all the exams are right now in CBT, computer based. So only one option is there to click. That means only one option is right. In this case, how will he quickly reach it to answer? Because in competitive exam, it's very important that the same time we should save our time. So it's also important that time is also precious, but it should go at the cost of your wrong answer. But that doesn't mean that we have to spend 5 minutes for a question. No, we don't have that much time. So yeah, please put your answers in the chat. Let me see. So here, first sentence, let's lead. Test retest reliability. We immediately know what is test retest reliability. Test retest reliability means taking a test, administrating in two different time. That means taking a test, attempting it right now, and after 40 days, attempting the same test to the same sample again. That is retest reliability. Here it is what is given. It is determined by assessing the degree of relationship between the two score on one half of a test with the score on the other half of a test. No, that is wrong. That is wrong. Going to the next one. Alternate form reliability. While reading this, please make sure that you already know the things in the background. So you just need to cross check with what you have already learned. Don't go deep into the option that they are giving. That might even confuse you. Alternate form reliability, we already know that it's like having different equivalent forms and trying to get the correlation between that. What it is given here? Alternate form reliability is determined by assessing the degree of relationship between scores on two different equivalent tests. Wow, that's actually right. That's actually right. And we know that only one option among the four is right. That means the other options, all other option has to be wrong. But for the sake of in order to uh, be more secure, we will fastly look on the other three and four also. Three, what is that? Split half reliability is determined by assessing the degree of relationship between scores on the same test administered on two different occasions. No, that's wrong. That's actually test retest reliability. So again, that is wrong. Going to the fourth one, internal reliability is the extent to which the effect of dependent variable is a result of independent variable and not some other. No, that's again wrong. No, that's not internal reliability. Internal reliability means reliability measures as part of item analysis. Internal reliability, external reliability, reliability over time. There are I have very detailed taken lectures on reliability measures. Those who need further clarification, you can refer to those videos. Here we know that option 2 is of course the right one. So here one technique or one tip I have to give is, please come fastly into the answer, because we know these are all descriptions. We need to read each one and it's difficult for us to, at times our concentration may leave off. So these are the other things that we have to always remember. Our presence of mind is very important. I have given the explanation here, and this PPT will be also uploaded in our app. Don't worry. Um, you can check it later. I hope you are clear with the with the question. Next question. Cox screen, a computer assisted tool, has been used in the selection of. Cox screen, a computer assisted school tool, has been used in the selection of human resource managers, doctors, airline pilots, electronic media journalists. As I told earlier, for many of you, I'm pretty sure that even I was not sure of this answer. I haven't heard about Cox screen, to be very honest. So if I am writing this, I am facing this particular question in front of a, like in the actual exam. If there is a negative marking, I will not try to put anything, because that is a great risk. Don't believe in this luck and fate and all. No, no. But if you don't have a negative marking, I'm telling it because we have both QET PG students and in net students. I think for QET PG we'll be having negative marking. So in that case, the case is different. In NTA, in net exam, you can actually simply put a something. So don't then again read Cox screen. Don't think like, oh, what it will be, because we don't know nothing about this. So why wasting your time? Just click anything out, whatever that comes to your mind immediately. Option 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, click it, move to the next question. But if you have any idea about what is Cox screen, if you can just think for a minute and then you're able to get it, or if you can have an educated guess, then you can actually spend a 30 seconds or a 1 minute for this question. So can somebody uh, show some random guesses? Please put your random guesses. Let me see how many of you will make it right. Please put your random guesses. So we will try to find out how many of you will actually make it right. Don't try to copy others' responses. Just whatever, like if you know the answer, you can directly put it. No worries. I want everyone to put your options, because yeah, yeah, many of your guesses have been right. I think you might be knowing this. For people who know this, it's okay. Airline pilots. Option 3 is correct. So Cox Screen is a computer assistant tool that has been specifically designed and used for the selection of airline pilots. It's a cognitive screening tool. That's a short form is Cox Screen. that helps to assess the cognitive abilities and skill necessary for pilots to perform their duties effectively and safely. Though Cochrane is specifically, it is specifically tailored for airline pilots. Uh, in different fields also, it can be used for different purposes. But airline pilots is the best option. We'll move to the next question. Utility of semantic differential scale is not contingent upon. Utility of semantic differential scale is not contingent upon. See, there is a not. Upon finding appropriate adjective pairs, meaning of the words, length of the items in the scale, contextual reference of the item. In order to break down this question, we actually should know what is a semantic differential scale and what are its properties. Even having an idea about semantic differential scale will help you to guess out, because always do remember that in a multiple choice question it's actually finding the odd one out of the options. So that is actually a technique to answer, finding the odd one. That means one among the four will be a different, but don't just blindly go with the technique, because the question setters are not like, they are not, they are experts only, they know, they are able to read our minds, and they will give very close options also. So the question is, semantic difference scale is not contingent upon or not impacted by. Contingent means what? It's not dependent on. Finding appropriate adjective pairs, meaning of the words, length of the item, contextual reference of the item. Those who have the answer, can you please put in the chat? Okay. Yes, very good. Many have put the option 3, length of the items in the scale. So for many who are not aware of this question, like I will explain it for you. The utility of semantic differential scale. What is a semantic differential scale? It goes like this. Semantic differential means, semantics basically means there is a meaning. So semantic differential scale means there will be two, rude and courteous. Two extremes, two bipolar adjectives will be given. So the English words we are using is very important. And we have to, for example, a rating survey. How was the our service to you? Like that. So rude will be 1, courteous will be 7. So you can actually either put 5 or 6 or 2, anything. This is an example of a semantic differential scale. It will have, like, basically I will explain. Semantic differential scale is what? Is a rating scale that measures the subjective meaning of concepts or objects along a continuum between bipolar adjectives or descriptive pairs. It's basically a rating scale like this. You will be asked, and two opposites bipolar words will be. Bipolar means two extremes. Bipolar adjectives or descriptive pairs will be given. Inaccessible, totally accessible. Rude, courteous. Caring, unsympathetic. Using this, it will not have any other questions. It will be only having these pairs, these adjective pairs, which will be bipolar, by like it will be like two extremes. So in this case, semantic differential scale is actually contingent upon finding appropriate adjective pair. Meaning of the words is important. Contextual reference of the items is important. If it was not. Here in this case, the question is not impacted by or not contingent upon the number of or the length of the items in the scale. In particularly in the case of semantic differential scale, we know, or we have to learn, that it is not dependent upon the number of item, but it is actually dependent upon finding appropriate adjective pairs, meaning of the words, contextual reference of the item. So the scale will not get affected, the utility will not affected by the length of the item, but rather by other factors here mentioned. Okay, so I hope you got an idea about what is a semantic differential scale. There are other things called Likert scale. We used to like strongly agree, neutral, disagree. Or Gutsman scale. It's a cumulative scale or a scaleogram analysis. A statement of items will be there in a hierarchical order. Response are to indicate agree or disagree in a cumulative pattern. So these are the other related scale like Likert scale, Guttman scale. and here it is semantic differential scale. In psychology we mostly use this semantic differential scale only. So the next one is the next question. Let's look into the next question. Which structure of the limbic system is mostly responsible for controlling the emotional behavior of the emotional fear? So which structure of the limbic system is mostly responsible for controlling the emotional behavior of fear? Amygdala, hippocampus, cingulate gyrus, mammillary bodies. Yeah, yeah, almost everyone is sure of the answer, because no, because we all know that limbic system and the associated area, especially emotional memory, we used to tell the area which is responsible for that is amygdala. Yeah, you are right, option 1. So what is the explanation? So amygdala is a part of the limbic system primarily responsible for controlling the emotional behavior of fear. It plays a crucial role in processing, interpreting response to fear inducing stimuli, so, and modulating emotional memory. So what are the other things? Hippocampus is also a brain structure associated with the memory, but not directly to fear. It is also a component of the limbic system, but it is primarily associated with the formation and consolidation of new memory. So questions like that used to come. Which part of the brain used to associate with the formation and consolidation of new memory or spatial navigation cognitive processes? Then hippocampus. Cingulate gyrus is also involved in various functions, including emotion regulation, attention, cognitive processing, but it is not the primary structure involving fear of behavior, controlling fear behavior. Mammillary bodies is also a nuclei in hypothalamus connected to the limbic system, involved in primary process, but particularly the recollection of past events and spatial memory, not directly responsible for fear. So it's very important that while you take a question, please try to learn the other options also. And the question, what if you're looking about limbic system, try to learn what is limbic system, what is amygdala, what is hippocampus. In that way, you can actually cover a large amount of content within short time. Okay, let's move into the next question. REM sleep is characterized by one of the following conditions: PGO waves, ULPA, flip-flop, histamine. REM sleep is characterized by one of the following. What do you mean by REM sleep? Rapid eye movement sleep. We know one type of REM sleep. It is like it is called also called as paradoxical sleep. It is also called as a sleep time in which we mostly see dreams. We mostly see dreams. It's like so, but we will be. I don't know how many of you are actually knowing what are the sub options: PGO, ULPA, flip flop, histamine, and all. Because it's a more, the question went a more deeper. REM sleep you might be knowing, but what are the other things? Yeah, so let's, yeah, many of you have given the answer. Yeah, it's right. The answer is actually PGO waves option 1. What is that? So rapid eye movement sleep, we know it's a characterized by various physiological changes. Rapid eye movement, but we will be paralyzed. So it is characterized by the presence of pondo-geniculo-occipital waves. These are electrical impulses that originate in the pons region of the brainstem and propagate the geniculate nucleus of the thalamus and the occipital cortex. So during the REM sleep, we know we are putting electrodes to measure the brain waves, and one can find PGO waves, pontogeniculo-occipital waves, during the time of REM. That's why the question is being asked. It's characterized by one of the following. It is PGO. PGO, the full form is pontogeniculo-occipital wave, occipital, and these waves are associated with REM sleep, involved in the generation of visual memory and dream content. Please note that. Involved, sometimes the same thing can be asked in a different form. Which of the wave is involved in the visual imagery and dream content during sleep? Other options like ULPA, flip-flop, histamine are not directly related to the specific characteristics of REM sleep. ULPA means ultra low penetration air, which is not related to sleep stages. Flip-flop is also used in computer science and digital electronics. Histamine is actually a neurotransmitter signaling molecule involved in various physiological processes, including regulation of sleep-wake cycles. Histamine is there. It plays a role in sleep regulation, but it's not specific to REM sleep. It is not specifically. But the question is also not about hormone associated with, but one of the characteristic by the following condition. So there is actually, if you don't have a negative marking, if you look one more deeper into the question, it is characterized by, it is a characterization. It's not like a hormone associated with. If that was the case, we could go with histamine or a neurotransmitter associated with. We could actually do some educated guesses even. So here, out of the options, if there is no negative marking and if you can just simply go with, there is a chance that, because one thing that you have to learn while attempting for a competitive exam is not just to, because we as human being, we have our own limitation, we will not be covering all the areas. Like I'm telling practically, ideally we have to cover everything. So at some cases, we should also take up or we develop the ability to guess out of the four option. That's actually a skill that we can work on. Not that doesn't ensure that you are actually knowledgeable. That's actually an exam attending trick only. Trying to break down the words of like, because the question, see here, REM sleep is characterized by one of the following conditions. Conditions. Even you are not that aware of the options, or if you have small idea regarding, you can make some educated guesses, but doesn't mean that it's a heuristic only. Doesn't mean that it will work every time. But I'm telling, if there is no negative mark, you actually go. You can go with some of your guesses. You have to go with your guesses, especially for the net students. I'm telling. Okay, I hope you have learned about that. Another question: class is to dash property of measurement, as time is to dash property of the measurement. I hope you all know about the scales of measurement and the properties of scales of measurement. I have detailedly taken it in our psychological testing class. We have detailedly studied. But the question here is class is to dash property of measurement. Time is to dash property of the measurement. So the question is asked regarding property. Option A, magnitude identity. You have to fill these two gaps. Magnitude identity equal unit size magnitude, identity absolute zero equal unit size. Please put your options in the chat. What do you mean by class? We know in scales of measurement starting from nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. These are the four scales of measurement. So scales of measurement were put forward by S.S. Stevens. We know the properties. Nominal only have a class property or the identity, or belonging to which class. For example, Cristiano Ronaldo has 7, or it's just an issue with identity. Or we will tell that socioeconomic status 1, higher socioeconomic status 1, middle 2, lower 3, or male 1, female 2. We used to give, it's just a nomination, it's just a labeling, it's just a categorical, just to denote some identity or a class, that we use nominal. Ordinal, order is there. Interval, equal interval is there. Ratio, absolute zero is there. So these are the things we know about that. In this case, what will be the answer? Class is to dash property. What will be the property of measurement? Basically, we know class is related to identity only. There is no magnitude, there is no equal unit size, there is no absolute zero. So all other options will not actually find out. Class means you belong to male, male equal to 1, female equal to 2, or what? All other, like a country of origin, or belonging to a particular religion, Christian to Hindu 3. We are just categorizing, and that's number is only an identity. Nothing about magnitude, because in nominal scale there is no magnitude. Male equal to 1 doesn't mean that male are the first and female are the second. It's just a number in order to show the class or in order to show the belonging identity. So class is to identity, that is of course sure for you. And time as a variable, we know that, which is the scale of measurement in time. Time is a ratio scale. So in ratio scale we know that there is absolute zero. So option 3 is the right answer. I know there is a pretty confusing element in this question, like seeing all this option you might feel, but always do think about the think about which scale of measurement actually belongs to. Class means immediately identity. Time, we know it's not a nominal variable, it's not an ordinal variable, it's not an interval, because time have a perfect zero time. It's actually an answer. There is absolute zero in time, money, these are all ratio scales, and ratio scale have absolute zero. So absolute zero is the property of the ratio scale, hence even here it will come absolute zero. I hope i hope you got me. So the properties of the abstract numbers, yeah, these are I exactly take it from our PPT only. Identity, number has a particular meaning. Magnitude, inherent order from smallest to larger. So identity comes in nominal, magnitude come in ordinal. Ordinal means there is a magnitude, there is an order. Equal interval come in interval scale. Absolute zero come in ratio scale. Answer is option. Oh, these are the properties of scales of measurement. Yeah, you can just look it later. Let's look into the next question. A genetic inability to metabolize amino acid phenylalanine leads to one of the following condition. Direct question. Down syndrome, autism, cerebral palsy, PKU. A genetic inability to metabolize amino acid phenylalanine leads to one of the following condition. Yeah, very good. Exactly. This is a direct question, and we know that this disorder is termed as PKU, ketonuria. Phenylketonuria is a genetic disorder characterized by the deficiency in the enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase. And this enzyme is responsible for metabolizing amino acid phenylalanine. An individual with PKU are unable to properly break down phenylalanine, leading to its accumulation in the body, and then it causes intellectual disability, developmental delay, and another neurological problem. Down syndrome, the other option, we know that it's a genetic disorder again, but the presence of an extra copy of chromosome 21. That's why it's also called autosomal trisomy. Yeah, there are three chromosome, extra copy of chromosome 21. Autism, we know that it's a neurodevelopmental disorder characterized by challenges in social interaction, communication, repetitive behavior. Inability to metabolize phenylalanine. It is not directly caused by inability to metabolize phenylalanine. Also, and cerebral palsy, a neurological disorder affecting the movement, muscle control, and posture. It's not again associated with the phenylalanine metabolism. So the question is direct, and the answer is PKU, option 4. Next question. A person who had experienced an intensive negative emotion fails to recollect the emotional event. This is known as, a person who had an experienced intensive negative emotion fails to recollect the emotional event. Forgetting due to interference, retrieval failure, motivated forgetting, forgetting due to decay. What will be the answer? You can put your option here in the chat. Yeah, very good. So it's again a direct question, but an application question. Yeah, very good. Motivated forgetting. Exactly. Option 3, motivated forgetting. What do you mean by that? When a person intentionally or unconsciously suppresses or blocks the recollection of past negative emotional event. It is known as motivated forgetting, something we learn as part of psychoanalysis and Freud and all. So it's actually a defense mechanism that operates to protect the individual from distressing or traumatic memory. The person will not be able to recollect that. That type of forgetting is called motivated forgetting, or a parallel term for repression itself. There are other forgetting options, like forgetting due to interference is actually interference effect. It's not actually due to a specific memory. It is due to one memory affecting the other memory. It is not specifically related to in emotional event. Retrieval failure again is a retrieval. It's a another inability to retrieve something that have been already learned, not directly related to emotional or intensive negative emotion. Forgetting due to decay or a decay effect, gradual fading out of memory. That's another point. So the correct term here it is motivated forgetting. Let's move to the next question. The tendency of a consumer to decide on buying a product that was repeatedly appearing on TV screen is attributed to effectiveness of the product, price of the product, subliminal perception, utility of the product. The tendency of a consumer to decide on buying a product that was repeatedly appearing on TV screen is attributed to dash. I hope that you can very easily, because I in all my lectures I used to take this exact example to explain subliminal perception for you. I always used to tell about this in our live in our sessions. Yeah, exactly. You're right. It's subliminal perception. That means perceiving something below the threshold itself. We don't need actually an absolute threshold in order to perceive something. There are some other things which actually falls below absolute threshold, but we will perceive it. We will not only perceive it, we will take up and we consciously or unconsciously buy the same product we have seen on the TV screen. So subliminal perception refers to perception of stimuli below the threshold of conscious awareness. So repeated exposure can have a subtle influence on consumer behavior and decision making, even if the consumer is not consciously aware of it. So this subtle effect is called that. That's actually the power of advertising. Subliminal perception. Yeah. So next question. Brain lesions of subcortical region produced by passing electrical current through an insulated electrode is called. Brain lesions of subcortical regions produced by passing electrical current through an insulated electrode is called excitotic lesions, radio frequency lesions, sham lesions, excitatory lesions. Something related to the neural processing and biological ways of behavior and application of these lesioning techniques. Yeah, I think I will explain with the options. Yeah, very good. Yeah, if you have made it right, it's actually option 2, radio frequency lesions. Let's look on what all these options are. Radio frequency lesions, when brain lesions are actually produced by passing electrical current through an insulated electrode, it is referred to as radio frequency lesions. This technique involves using radio frequency energy to create targeted lesions in specific subcortical regions of the brain. So passing electrical current through insulated electrode is referred to as radio frequency lesions actually, in order to create targeted lesions in the subcortical regions of the brain. Other options like excitotic toxic lesions are produced by the administration of excitatory neurotransmitter agonist, such as canic acid or ibotonic acid, into a specific brain region. So it's actually excitatory neurotransmitter injecting or administrating. Sham lesions are actually not actual lesions, but rather a control procedure, whether a surgical or experimental manipulation is performed in a way that mimic the actual procedure but does not result in any substantial damage or alteration. That is called sham lesions. We are not actually proceeding with it. It's actually mimicking. And excitatory lesions is not commonly used in neuroscience or lesion studies. So here, so learn that right now itself. Radio frequency lesions are the one that we commonly use in our lesion studies. And by passing electrical current through electrodes, that is called actually radio frequency lesions. Okay, so many area that we don't know, we will expose ourselves this question, and this question will make us learn. I always used to mention this method, I always used to propagate. It's not going from text to test. We always like this method and we all normally follow this method, but it's good to also follow from test to text. This is my own idea, not any going from test to text. So here we are actually using this method. We don't know about brain lesion studies, or we are not going deeply, but when a question came, we will look what all are the methods are. Okay, so let's go to the last question for today. Last question of today. There are many questions remaining. We will continue it tomorrow. A person distressed in a gorilla suit walked unnoticed. Sorry, not distressed. A person dressed in a gorilla suit walked unnoticed through a group of students playing basketball. How can this phenomena be described? In my live sessions, I have shown you this video. In our, yeah, I hope like in our, I have this video in my PPT itself. I have added the same video. You can see in YouTube also a video of a gorilla walking and a student playing basketball, and we will fail to recognize there is a gorilla walking in between. And this phenomena is described as, this is a direct question: change of attention, attention loss, inattention blindness, attention lapse. Yeah, you guys are correct. It's inattention blindness. It's very videos. Those who haven't seen it, please go to YouTube and just type inattention blindness gorilla test or something. You will be asked to count the number of passes by basketball players, and on that focusing, we will miss to see a gorilla walking in between. So this phenomenon is called inattention blindness, the failure to notice unexpected or say a salient stimuli even when they are clearly visible. It's not that it's not very mimicking or something. No, it's clearly visible actually, but due to the lack of attention or focus on, we are actually focusing on other things. This used to happen, I think, for many men and all. When we are working in something, the other person calling from outside, we will not be actually blind or deaf. So usually our partners will ask you, are you deaf? Are you not hearing me? No, at times we'll be like blind or deaf or something because we'll be focusing on one thing. So the other very salient stimuli will become failure to attend to. Okay. So with that, we are closing up the question sharing discussion. We have discussed a lot of questions today, and I hope mainly we have discussed many questions from the area of research, psychological testing. So while discussing this question, you may be feeling some gaps in your learning, some gaps where you have to fill. Today itself, fill that gaps. Wherever you feel, fill that gap. Make boost up your preparation. And we know every tomorrow morning 5:30 a.m. we will continue with our classes for the next students. So till Thursday, I'm planning to conduct these sessions. So boost up your preparation. All the best. That's all it for today. Thank you for joining. So the recording of this session will be also will be in the YouTube. So those who haven't, or you can pass this into your friends, class groups, and all. Okay. Thank you. All the best.